Paul Nolan, did you hear anything about Kenny Omega's comments? What we're about to play them.
I watched it earlier, and if you remember to the last time that we played some of Kenny's comments on the show, I said that I was really impressed and was like engaged with what he had to say.
Telling you
And
guys.
he's taken it to an entirely new level here. My respect for him has increased exponentially off the back of this clip alone.
I've been telling you guys. So I again, go back to the early days, episode 2, 3, I don't even know, PWT. And I'm talking about, man, Kenny said it. He's fought before. He's trained MMA. He's trained jiu-jitsu. He's played hockey where you can literally drop your gloves and fucking fist fight, dude. Okay? He played these things. He's from Canada, bro. People are tough here, okay? Like, I'm sorry to inform you guys, you know? It's cold and shit. We all have to be men for the most part. You know what I mean? He gets it. As Kenny wrestled a little kid, cool. He legit, I've always said it, he's a great, tremendous athlete, and he legit could fuck people up. He knows what he's doing. I try to get this over to people, but he went and did his journey, whatever. His journey might have rubbed people the wrong way. Yeah, he has spots where people are doing bang bang scissor gang point shooter fingers right up his booty and stuff, you know, like there's all, or where he's doing it to other people or whatever. He all this stuff. He's wrestled little kids. He's tags with guys who wrestle blow up dolls. Like, get all that. But I'm telling you, he in the whole brawl in situation, or brawl out, pardon me, with the Bucks and Punk. Kenny and Punk were cool. I've been saying it for like a year.
Oh yeah.
Omega and fucking Punk are cool. They've been cool. Omega grabbed the dog. It's not even heat with fucking, like, Omega will work. I know he'll work. I know he said it on Renee Paquette's podcast. People fight. If you play a physical sport, if you play contact sports, if you play combat sports, you know that people fight. Listen to what the fuck Kenny Omega says, and we're going to play this 4-minute clip. Shout out whoever stream this is. I think it's Kenny's stream himself. So shout out Kenny at Kenny Omega Man X. I want him to come to WWE. I'm praying for it. And he even said it, guys. Everyone's like, no, he's an EVP. He couldn't. He is the elite. Well, listen to what he says here. Kenny says, I have no power. I don't want power. Just like Cody, he realized this is goofy, and I need to just go be the best pro wrestling storyteller I can be, because that's what the fuck I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? I'll get the pencil when I'm older, like my dad. Kenny's realizing it too, or he did know this whole time and has been. He's just much more chill and able to make this work and understanding. I don't know. But he's saying, I don't have power like that. I don't want it. I don't have power like that anymore, etc., etc. Why? I'm telling you, guys are like, oh, he's an EVP. He'll never leave. We'll get him in WWE at some point in our fucking lifetimes, even as like a producer backstage. Sorry. I'm ranting and raving. Here is Kenny Omega, and they're playing Street Fighter, mind you. This shit is epic. And he's like, I would love to hang with Kenny Omega, dude. He reminds me of me a little bit. Like, he's talking about wrestling, and then like Kayla Harrison just choked out Holly Holm, by the way. Beat her up on the ground like she said she was going to do, grappler, ground and pound submission. Anyways, Omega's like putting over the Street Fighter moves as he's like explaining what happened at Brawl Out or whatever. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, good choice. Like, just watch this clip. To me was just swaggy as fuck. I'm blowing it to death, guys. Here it is.
I thought my duty as an EVP during Brawl Out would be to enter the situation while there was chaos, de-escalate.
So Kenny entered while there was chaos, and he felt his role as an executive would be to de-escalate the situation and try and get the dog out of there. That's a boss, guys. Where's Tony? That's a boss. That's the other EVPs are fist fighting the top draw. Dude, Kenny Omega is the only one acting like a professional here.
It and create peaceful environment for everyone. I was
a peaceful environment for everyone. There we go. Okay.
I was able to create a peaceful environment for the most important person in that altercation, and that was Larry.
Fuck yeah.
The dog's either gonna the dog's either gonna panic and bite someone, which causes a whole other like, you know, dogs can get put down for shit like that, and it wasn't even its fault. Not saying like, okay, like you guys get what I'm saying, right? Dogs panic. There's videos of it where an owner will get like knocked out and the dog will attack the owner and shit. Like they panic, they don't know sometimes. So, and then Kenny, and then also it's helpless. Like, what if someone accidentally stepped on the dog or something? Kenny, like being the only actual person in this, you know what I mean? I feel like here. But shout out Punk, like defending himself, in my opinion. But here we go.
And I swear to God, honestly, that was my biggest. And yeah, it sounds funny, but like, I look at animals and our pets as people, and as, you know, Bobby, of course, one of the most important people in my life. So to get little Larry out of there was the most important thing to me, and that was the success. Unfortunately, try as I may, things were too chaotic for me to be able to do anything by my own power. That was a moment when I had seen that there were, good call. I believe it was in that instance when I realized that the way that I wanted to go about things wasn't necessarily the way that other people wanted to. It was also the way that other people necessarily didn't want to. And then it was also maybe not the way that the boss wanted to take care of it. And I also thought of myself as a liability because I don't want to say old school.
What does that mean? Not the way the boss, so like the boss wanted them to fight? I don't get it. What does that mean?
Because I don't want to say old school. I'm not old school. I've just played a lot of contact sports, and I've gotten into jiu-jitsu and boxing and mixed martial arts. I just know that sometimes when you perform or when you fight, when everything's on the line, when you give your heart, when you give your soul towards something, and you're in that moment of high stress or high anxiety, where you've maybe emptied the tank and you're just physically exhausted. That was actually very impressive. A good punish. Yeah. When in an environment like that, sometimes emotions get the best of you and people will want to throw hands. And in the case, and I'm unfortunately or fortunately a believer of it, I think if it's decided that, hey, this is the best way to solve things and you can shake hands after and move on after, I'm a believer. I'm actually a believer of fighting.
Kenny Omega agrees with CM Punk. All you fucking marks.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, assaulting in the workplace. Kenny Omega agrees with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We told you, guys. God
Exactly,
damn
yeah.
it.
Phil, just going back on your previous comment about how it's not how the boss wanted it handled. I actually heard an interview with Tony Khan. I'd have to go back. It's a good couple of years old. And he actually admitted that he wanted a certain amount of tension backstage because he believed that's how the best product in front of the cameras was made. So he's actually
he's
an
such
enabler.
a fucking mark. He's such a mark reading books.
Mate.
Well, HBK and Bret Hart, they were fucking brilliant together because they hated each other backstage, and when they were on camera, they were great. That's what Tony thinks. He's fucking that shit grosses me out, dude. That's crazy. That's honestly crazy. Yeah, Jess, part of me says, and shout out John JID. Jess says the fight had to happen because Tony wouldn't do anything. It's not just Punk having disagreements and flipping out. It's weeks of stuff building without Tony stepping in. Exactly.
It was allowed to fester.
And then John JID, him commentating on the game and talking about this at the same time is killing me. Dude, it is the most legend swaggy shit of all time. I love Kenny. I always have, man.
I am, and that sounds terrible to say, and which is why, like, don't make me an EVP in 2024. You know,
he's like, dude, he's like, I'm old school. Don't make me an EVP in 2024. Like, so he's literally, and he explains how I don't have that power. Like, I'm not an EVP anymore. I just want to get healthy and wrestle. Fucking thank you, Kenny. No, but like for real, let's get real here, man. let's get back to what like you do, Kenny. You weren't here. You weren't supposed to be trying to make video games and building the women's division. It's not your job. Your job is to just go and do what you did with Okada in America and tell stories, bro. You know?
You can't do that stuff anymore. I just feel that sometimes that's how you have to settle things. Sometimes. And I don't mean you have to settle it and then it has to be shown on screen to everyone, or people have to brag online about who won, who lost. No, like it's not for that purpose. It's for the purpose of just getting that stuff out that you need to get out. And
he's just so Canadian, getting that stuff out that you need to get out. That's what we do, bro. That's why you're allowed to fight in hockey. Because it's just like, bro, we can't, there's no way we're like wrestling on ice for an hour and then I can't punch you in the face. If it, you know what I mean? It's just, trust me, okay? I'm a Canuck. Like, fuck.
I mean,
and he's a crazy athlete. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He's a spectacular athlete. Like, we can't deny that, right? He works really good. You might think his gesticulating and shit. Cornette says the gesticulating and shit. It's blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I just think he's trying to get over the selling over the top and the faster paced style. And okay, so if he went to WWE and Triple H and Shawn Michaels were like, hey, do a little less of this, a little more of this, you think he won't listen? I don't know. I think he'd be receptive to it, at least at this age. Maybe he wasn't 10 years ago, but he is now. I think. I don't know. That's my opinion.
I'll admit there were a number of times even now with me where I thought that might have been the most appropriate answer. It never came to that. We're able to talk things out.
So Kenny's been so frustrated backstage in AEW recently that he thought with other people, not this instance, where he might come to blows with someone. And it never happened. And he works. So what the fuck, guys? Come on. This is what it is in AEW. Tony is a bad businessman. He's a bad leader. And he's a bad fucking boss. He's bad at creative. It's all on him, dude. Can't blame the boys for this. I don't even blame Jack Perry. I'm starting to like not hate on Jack Perry as much, honestly, because he's trying to spin it into something. I give him credit. Like, he walked into Chicago with like armed guards and shit. Like, I don't know. I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. He's a fucking goof for ruining AEW, you know, when they actually were sort of starting to build something with Punk there. But I don't know.
I goof.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay, yeah. What? You're just still like, fuck Jack Perry. Like,
yeah, basically, his entire gimmick is literally, I got choked out by CM Punk.
I know. That's so, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Better friends, and there was a level of respect at that point on between myself and these other parties. And maybe I'll share these stories later. It's but I always, it's crazy. As much as I believe in cooler heads prevailing, sitting down and talking, sometimes it was just like, hey, I can't even think straight until I start throwing some hay, you know, or maybe that I need to be smacked around a little bit, whatever the case might be. I think if it's a contained scenario and if it's...
See, listen to what he just said. Maybe I need to throw some blows to get it out of my system. Maybe I need to be smacked around a little bit. And that's what none of these fucking people in the IWC, because, okay, Paul Nolan knows, right? We both trained jiu-jitsu. You train jiu-jitsu, you get choked the fuck out by people. It humbles you a little bit. And you understand, like, you know what I mean? And so, or like I kickboxed. I did a lot of kickboxing when I was young, like especially in my youth. And you get fucking people beat the shit out of you, and it like kind of gives you a little bit of perspective. You know, sometimes you need that. People need a smack. Like, I'm not saying beat your kids and or that sort of thing, but like you're dealing with like Jack Perry. You think he ever got his ass spanked? You know what I mean? So it's Kenny Omega speaking truth there. Yeah, and he's saying if it's contained and it's all good, no one's gonna kill anyone. Like Tony Khan feared for his life. Samoa Joe was 5 feet away from you. Chris Hero is right next to you. So is Jerry Lynn. You think they just let him serial murder you? You think Punk's gonna he's gonna murder you? Like what the fuck? It's like Hook's right there, Taz is right there. Like, what are you talking about? If there's no way you thought you were gonna die, you know, it just makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. And Kenny agrees with Punk. Kenny agrees with PWT. Kenny agrees with Paul Nolan. So Yeah, let's just continue what he's saying here.
It's not a situation where it's, there's like pulling people's eyeballs out.
There you go. It's not like, oh, like, okay, if all of a sudden Punk starts trying to gouge eyeballs out and shit, okay. But just like pie facing Jack Perry, and then I don't know. It just seems silly. It's contained. Like Samoa Joe was right there. Samoa Joe picked Jack Perry up like a baby and just pinned him against the wall. Like nothing was gonna happen,
Right.
Low blows, hair pulling, or scratching. You know what I mean? If it's just like, hey, let's just hang and bang a little bit.
Hang and bang. Let's fucking go. Who's hanging and banging with me tonight watching UFC 300? Let's fucking go, dude. Oh my God. Kenny's hanging and banging, dude. I love that. Dude, I love Kenny Omega. You guys you can hate on me all you want, PWT listeners. But I fucking love Kenny Omega.
I can see it sometimes being conducive for a positive work environment. Again, this is exactly why I have no power, nor should I.
I have no power, nor should I. Also, before Kenny's like, maybe I'll share these stories. It's like he was going to bang out a bunch of people. Start looking back on who he won't work with, who he hasn't worked with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who's he trying? Like, Omega's like, I was going to throw hands with people too. Well, there's a lot of people, Andrade, fucking Eddie Kings. There's a lot of people throwing hands in fucking AEW backstage. It seems real toxic and cliquey. Maybe we should fix this, Jesus Christ, Tony Khan.
So that's just how I feel, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Fucking World War III's trending, boys. You want to get into that, or do you?
Yeah.
You guys want to get into that? Oh my God. Okay. Awful wrestling. Omega's change of health equals perspective. He woke up. You know what, Awful Wrestling? I really appreciate the $2 super chat, and I do agree with you. I think he's getting a little older, a little wiser, and health will make you fucking start admitting the truth and praying to God, brother. So I don't know. DC for $5 says Kayla Harrison versus Jack Perry chokeout. Which one was better? Which one is better? Okay, I enjoyed seeing Jack Perry get choked out more.
He goozled him.
Yeah, I would say that Kayla Harrison. Here, I know Paul Nolan wants his pretty face up here. I would say that Kayla Harrison had the nicer technique, but I would definitely say that Jack Perry got a rougher chokeout, and I would say that both of them took a good knock. But Holly Holm, it's not good to see her get choked out at this stage in her career. Perry's still a kid, and hopefully that chokeout humbled him a little bit.
Well, she's basically Jack Perry at this point.
Yeah, she Jack Perry'd fucking the girl who knocked out Ronda Rousey with a head kick in UFC. So Paul Nolan, your thoughts? Kayla Harrison versus Jack Perry chokeout. Which one's better?
I mean, I'd have to see the Kayla Harrison one because I've not seen it yet, but
okay.
The Jack Perry one is one of the most satisfying and entertaining chokes I have ever seen in my life.
And DC, if you're trying to say Harrison would choke out Jack Perry, 100%, absolutely. And then here's Raj Giri, tacks a little on here and says, regarding CM Punk, Kenny Omega said they have a mutual respect for each other and that they reached out to each other after the brawl out. Omega said that if it weren't for a complete other factor, we would have been able to talk the talk on the night of brawl out. Who's that? The Bucks and Jericho going, you're a cancer. Who are y'all? And Judas in my mind.
You go wild.